What's up, YouTube? This is Brian from Bull Strength coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the strict press, aka the military press, aka the overhead press, aka the shoulder press, aka...
Shut up and get to the point!
Alright, so we'll get into the form in just a minute, but first of all we're going to talk about what is the overhead press good for. So first of all, it's real good at building them 3D delts, because you're pretty much using the entirety of your shoulder girdle to get the weight up, as opposed to a bench press where you're using the anterior portion of your shoulders to get the weight up. Shoulder press requires a lot more shoulder activation. It's a lot more of a rounded press for the shoulders. Now, in terms of which one's better, I know it's a hot debate between the bench press and the overhead press, but really, you're comparing apples and oranges. I mean, the overhead press is superior for core stability, shoulder stability, and stuff like that, whereas the bench press is better for overloading the anterior portion of your shoulders as well as your chest and your triceps. The overhead press is a great accessory lift for people who compete in strongman competitions or powerlifting. A lot of powerlifters tend to use the overhead press as an accessory, whereas there's also another big segment of powerlifters that treat the overhead press with as much care and progression focus as the bench press itself. And the reason why is because the overhead press has direct carryover into the bench press. I mean, if you get stronger at one, you're going to get stronger at the other. So that's personally my style. I prefer to progress with the overhead press to support my bench, usually alongside my bench if I am training for powerlifting. Right now I'm not, but I still do have a strong emphasis on the strict overhead press. And then of course this is a key lift for strongman competitors. You know, if you're going to be doing log pressing, the overhead press is going to have direct carryover and is going to help you out quite a bit with that. So first of all, let's talk about some suggested equipment. So this is just the equipment that I prefer to use when I overhead press. By no means is this stuff mandatory, but I do feel like it helps quite a bit. So first of all, I wear wrist wraps, of course, to protect those tiny tendons in my wrist. Also, I wear a weightlifting belt, and that's going to help me get intra-abdominal pressure, which will break down once we get into the form. And then some good old-fashioned gym chalk. Usually with heavier weights, I'll tend to use gym chalk just to kind of emphasize my grip a little bit, just to make sure I'm squeezing and getting the most out of my forearms. And then, of course, there's good old-fashioned nose torque for max effort lifts. Alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's break down the form. So first of all, we're going to talk about the rack, and I'm going to start by talking about what you should not do. So the overhead press rack is not the same as a front squat rack. I mean, just thinking about pressing it from this position makes my wrists hurt. Well, what you want to do instead is get your elbows under your wrists. You want it all to be in a line perpendicular to the floor. So the first thing you want to do, actually before you even get into the rack, is get the right grip. And this is a technique I learned from Mark Rippetoe, the author of Starting Strength. And basically you turn your hands inward to about a 45-degree angle. And so you know on your palms you have like 3 different lines that run through like the center part of your palm. You pretty much want to line the barbell up with that middle line there. And what that's going to do is create some torque in your upper back and your lats. Alright, now that we have a strong rack to press off of, we're just going to stand up with the bar, take a step back, and get everything tight. So we're going to do that by, you're going to flex your quads, you're going to flex your glutes, and of course you're going to flex your abs and push out into the belt. We're going to build intra-abdominal pressure up. And that intra-abdominal pressure is very important because what that's going to do is going to take all of your abdominal muscles, your obliques, your spinal erectors, your deep hip flexors, your diaphragm, and pretty much squeeze everything together so everything is just airtight and there's absolutely no room for your spine to basically move around and possibly get injured. All right, now the fun part. Now we're going to press. So now that everything is super tight, we want to do one last step to kind of tighten up the back a little bit more. So from this position, you're going to kind of torque your elbows inward You're not going to put a whole lot of pressure on it, but you definitely want at least a little bit of elbow adduction going on. And that is going to tighten up your back even more, giving you a more stable, more safe platform to press off of. We're going to initiate the press by tilting our head back slightly, pushing the barbell straight up until it clears your head. And then as soon as the barbell is above your head, you're going to pull your head forward into a neutral position, which is going to ensure that all the muscles in the shoulders are working to get the weight up. All right, everyone. Well, that's about it for the video. Hope you enjoyed the content. Happy pressing, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.